One of the things that we emphasize is total landed cost. So costing out not just how much a product, the purchase price is of that product, but thinking about the acquisition of the product. So how much is it going to cost to transport? How much is it going to cost to move through customs? What's the handling cost? What's the cost of inventory given that you've added additional time to your supply chain? And those things, as you do the calculations over time, I think one of the elements of those calculations that's changed pretty substantially is transportation. So the cost of transportation is increasing, and some of the hassle factors have also been increasing over time as we have more products coming in from overseas. Companies are starting to think about sustainability issues and thinking through carbon impact of different transportation options. So we had a group of students that recently did a project with Quality Bike Parts, and they're a company that's very much interested in environmental impact of their products and their business model as a whole. And one thing that the project team did was looked at what the environmental impact would be of moving some of their product movement from planes to ships. So you think about bike products, many of those are shipped from Europe or are flown in from Europe, and they were interested in looking at if we could move that all into having it be transported on water. That would provide economies of scale. It would allow them to have less of a carbon footprint per item that's moved, but it adds a lot more time to the supply chain. So it's a trade-off in terms of flexibility, but at the benefit of reducing the environmental impact. And that's something I'm starting to hear other companies looking at, which is very interesting. It's kind of exactly the opposite of what we were interested in the supply chain field 5 years ago, where it was all about how to be more flexible, how to reduce lead times. Now the equation is changing where you're starting to think about environmental impacts and being willing to build in longer lead times in order to help to reduce some of those environmental impacts. One other thing that we're seeing in transportation related to supply chain is packaging. So there's a lot of emphasis now on reducing weight as well as volume of packaging. So, and I think this has, lots of opportunities, so we can move more product in the same cargo space as we did before and at a lower weight if we're really just moving product and not moving air or boxes or plastics and various things that go on top of the product. And so there's many benefits to this. One is, cost. Another is reduced freight per, item that's serving a consumer. Another is reduced carbon footprint as well. So packaging is thrown away, and it's considered a waste by most consumers. And so having less of it is also helpful for the reverse supply chain of not having to deal with the disposal or the recycle of those items.